New polling shows voters have an issue with President Trump's money making in office. A Reuters Ipsos poll shows most Americans believe Trump has inappropriately profited since returning to power. On Saturday, the president disclosed he made 1,000 stock trades in June. The White House said he had no role in the trading and that the trades were handled by independent managers. Joining me now is our friend Rick Stengel, former Undersecretary of State in the Obama administration. I welcome you because, in part, Rick, you posted about this on X. And when you look at the polling about the president's money making on crypto, 63% find it inappropriate. Last month, Trump said there was nothing illegal about his crypto money making. But, Rick, why isn't the White House concerned about the optics here? I mean, 1,000 trades in a month seems like a lot. So are, by the way, the 21,000 trades in 2025.
But, Alex, it's great to be with you, as always. The trading pales in comparison to the profit that he made in cryptocurrency in 2025. Donald Trump made more money in the first year of his second presidency than in any year of his 50 years as a businessman. And 1.2 billion of it came from businesses that didn't exist before he was president. Now, I understand that Americans might want a businessman to be president, but no one wants someone to turn the presidency into a business, which is what he has done. And, in a way, it's like it makes me happy if he's just trying to make money instead of trying to get involved in constitutional issues and the economy and international affairs. But it's a level of corruption that is exponentially larger than anything we've seen in American history. I mean, just what Trump made in 2025 is probably more than the income of all American presidents in history put together.
Who can put the brakes on this?
The other thing about it, Alex, and I'll get to the answer, is that it's 1.2 billion was made in cryptocurrency. Americans don't understand what cryptocurrency is, except that maybe it's a vehicle for corruption and drug dealers and all kinds of terrible things. What he started, a meme coin, a stable coin, it's not money. It's just a fraudulent income making scheme. So I would hope that the SEC, the Treasury, would investigate these things. That's not going to happen while Donald Trump is president. It may happen when and if the Democrats take the House.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you about the trade talks breaking down with Canada. If this trade war, Rick, goes on for any length of time, how profound an impact will it have?
It has a big impact. And the thing that Alex, your story showed, too, is that it has an impact on these American folks who probably voted for Donald Trump, farmers in the Midwest, factory workers in the Midwest. Canada, as everyone said, is our single largest trading partner. We benefit from a relatively amount of free trade with Canada. And I'm hopeful that that the Canadians and the Americans will come to an agreement. There was an interesting story in the New York Times where our trade negotiator said, here are the things that we offered the Canadians. I actually thought that the administration had made some good efforts in terms of kind of normalizing trade and getting rid of some of these ridiculous tariffs. I hope this isn't the final stage.
So let's move to Iran now, because on Monday, as you know, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is expected to announce what he's describing as the toughest sanctions in history on that country. Will that be as effective as administration officials are planning?
I don't know, Alex, but I mean, to look at it from a macro way, it's once again putting the cart before the horse. Why didn't this administration try these economic sanctions before they invaded Iran? That's what previous administrations did. That's how the Obama administration got an Iran deal that is so much stricter than anything Trump will get. So I'm not against applying sanctions to Iran. I just wonder why they didn't do it before.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I do want to ask you about what Democrats will investigate if they win in November. From as we were talking about, the Trump family finances to let's say, immigration enforcement. I mean, it's a pretty long list potentially, right? Is this what the public wants, though, Rick? And which issue should concern Trump the most?
Well, Alex, I'll take the first question, which is I don't think while the American public may want a certain amount of investigation, I don't think they want the party in power to devote most of their energy and time and money to an investigation of a former president, however corrupt and venal he was. The Democrats need to show we can govern. You know, Trump it's amazing. He's pretty good at winning elections. He's terrible at actually governing, at doing the job. Democrats need to show we can do the job, we can govern, and that's why we're going to reward you for voting for us.
Okay. But if you recall, of course, during one of the Trump impeachments, you remember Democrats turned some of those hearings. They were primetime events. They were produced by a television news veteran. Can you even imagine a scenario, Rick, where a Trump, say, family member or a high-ranking administration official ends up a witness at a similar hearing?
You know, it would get a pretty big audience. It would delight a lot of people who are looking to punish him. And I'm just speaking, you know, as a former, you know, political person. I mean, that I don't think that's what the American people want. Some American people want it. They want it to not happen again. I would more concentrate on creating laws and statutes that prevent this from ever happening before, because the great theme of both Trump administrations is that so much of these violations of law are not violations of law, but violations of norms. And we need to turn the norms that protected the American people into laws. That's what people would like to see Democrats do.
Always a wise conversation with you, my friend. Thank you, Rick. I hope we see you next weekend.